But even though everyone was waiting for Donald Trump, the match that really surprised everybody was the baby-faced thirst quencher Marco Rubio versus the bridge-blocking bully Governor Christie. Because, no, here's the setup. Christie tanked in Iowa, making New Hampshire's last chance to make himself the top alternative to Trump or Cruz. But in order to do that, he'd have to beat Marco Rubio, who came in third in Iowa. So Christie launched an accusation. Rubio is an empty suit with canned lines.
I want the people at home to think about this. That's what Washington, D.C. does. In the memorized 25-second speech, that is exactly what his advisors gave him.
All right, Rubio, all right, the challenge has been issued. And now you have to prove him wrong.
And let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. I would add this, let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is trying to change this country. Here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
The memorized 25-second speech.
Well, that's the reason why this camp...
Rubio, he's on to you. Switch up the play. Just say anything else.
The memorized 25-second speech.
Well, that's the reason why this campaign is so important. Because I think this notion, I think this is an important point. We have to understand what we're going through here. We are not facing a president that doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he is doing.
He lost it. He lost it. First of all, he's saying Barack Obama knows what he's doing. Let's just take a second to accept that. He's just like a little... That's the first thing. And secondly, Christie called Rubio out on the fact that he mindlessly repeats talking points like a stump speech robot. And Rubio's reply was, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, I am human, beep boop, beep boop. He got exposed. Marco Rubio got so hard, he had to take Christie to Red Lobster. Like... You know, so much has happened this campaign season. I mean, between finding out Ted Cruz's dad killed Kennedy, John Kasich's struggle with tapeworm, well, partnership with tapeworm, I should say, and that whole Jeb Bush wedgie incident. I mean, there was a time when we thought that would be the biggest moment in the race, and look, none of us remember it now. None of us. Can you remember it? No, we all forgot it. It's a similar thing with Christie. Because we forgot, it was only a few months ago that the New Jersey governor / Sopranos extra was still running for president. Now, by the end of his campaign, he had blazed through $8.1 million and was hundreds of thousands in debt. So Christie spent millions of dollars and didn't get out of Jersey, or as they call it, the reverse Springsteen. And so after dropping out, he endorsed Donald Trump, which seems normal now. But at the time, the announcement had people reacting like this.
Christie shocks the political world by endorsing the frontrunner.
The biggest high-profile endorsement that Trump has received.
A jaw-dropping endorsement.
Sent shockwaves throughout the Republican Party and beyond.
Yeah, that is the top-rated news broadcast in India. It's not. It's just a joke. So no, because people will tweet, that's not India! I get it. It's calm down. So for several days, everyone in politics was in shock, including Christie. I mean, look at that face. Look at that face. That's the kind of face you make when you're trying to remember if you used the condom last night. That's the look you have. And if you did, which side of it were you on? That is the look that he has. So everyone was wondering why Christie would do such a thing. But people always forget that when you sell your soul to the devil, you're still getting something in return. And last Thursday, we found out what that was.
Donald Trump spending this evening in central New Jersey. He was at a fundraiser in Lawrenceville for Governor Christie.
The $200 per person event was designed to pay off Christie's $200,000 debt from his failed presidential run.
You know, Chris paid off his entire campaign debt tonight, right? His entire debt.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. I mean, we could have given that money to charity, but let's be honest. Christie's the real tragedy here. Come on. Yeah, there's probably kids in Africa going, no, I mean, I know me, but have you seen his face? No, give him the money. Give him, I'll wait for next time. I'll wait for next time. So yes, Trump helped wipe out Christie's debt in just one night. And all Christie had to do was endorse a man who a few months prior, he had said this about.
I just don't think he's suited to be president of the United States.
Why?
I don't think his temperament is suited for that, and I don't think his experiences.
Oh, yes, I don't think he's suited, and yet now he is. And also, why are they walking along the boardwalk? It's an interview, not a high school date. I don't understand. But unless this is Christie's game. Yeah, I'll meet you for an interview, 8 p.m. at the kissing booth. See you there. Totally business. Now, look, we understand there's going to be a certain level of back-scratching in politics. But this level of payback is seldom this obvious. You know, I mean, it's right in our face. It's like a couple joining the Mile High Club on the aisle of a plane. Like, have the decency to at least go into the tiny bathroom, at least. And even though it was Christie's event, it was really Trump's event. And with the Trump event, he talks about the things Trump wants to talk about.
When a company moves to Mexico and they think they're going to drop out like Carrier, like Ford, like Nabisco, they think they're going to take our people, fire all of our people, move to Mexico, make their air conditioners, and sell them right across the border, no tax, no nothing. Guess what, folks? Not going to work that way anymore. Every unit you make that you sell into the United States, you're going to pay a 35% tax, okay? 35, very simple. We're losing our shirts, folks.
We're losing our shirts, folks. We're losing our shirts to these foreign countries. And no one knows that better than Donald Trump, whose brand of shirts is manufactured in China. Yeah, so if you want American-made Trump clothing, then you'll basically have to wear a bunch of his steaks. That's how it works. And it makes more sense than eating them, let's be honest. But let's back up a second. Because when Donald Trump says you're going to pay a 35% tax, you do understand he means you, the American consumer. That's who ends up paying the tariff. You know, it feels like just yesterday shoppers were pulling knives on each other to save $10 on a Blu-ray player, and now people are cheering for more. Like, when everything from those countries is suddenly 1/3 more expensive, Trump is basically putting economic sanctions on America. You know, the sanctions, the same things the US uses to cripple other countries? That's basically Trump's economic recovery plan. A plan that could actually deepen the trade imbalance, sink the US into recession within a year, and lead to a trade war with China and Mexico. That's a trade war.
These dummies say, oh, well, that's a trade war. Trade war? We're losing $500 billion in trade with China. Who the hell cares if there's a trade war? Trade war. It's crazy.
No, you're crazy. How is this guy a presidential candidate? I mean, I know maybe you don't care, Donald Trump, but you know who would care? The 4 million Americans that would stand to lose their jobs if a trade war happened. There is no war with China that you can say you don't care about. It doesn't matter what kind of war it is. A military war, a trade war, a storage war, it doesn't matter. If China decided to keep all their here, we'd be overwhelmed in a week, people. You can't say, I don't care. So helping Christie with his debt and starting a trade war with China was basically the business part of Friday's event. But Trump, like the human mullet that he is, saved room for the party in the back.
There's nothing like New Jersey. Wise guys, so many wise guys. I'll tell you what, you can make it in New Jersey. You can do just about anything you want in life.
If you can make it in Jersey, you can do anything you want in life. It's like the royalty-free version of New York, New York. That they use in unlicensed karaoke bars. What is it? If you can make it in I don't understand. How do people look at this man and think, yeah, president? He just walks up on stage and starts riffing. It's his nature. He's like a monkey at the zoo who's like, what am I gonna do? Not masturbate in front of tourists? It's who I am. Donald Trump. We know that making a bunch of weird, misinformed, and sometimes flat-out wrong statements at Christie's own bailout fundraiser couldn't possibly be the worst humiliation Trump would serve the governor that night. No, you see, before Trump was done, he would have to make it personal.
I can tell you this. When Carrier and Ford and Nabisco leaving Chicago with their big plant, they're moving to Mexico. I'm not eating Oreos anymore, you know that. But neither is Chris. You're not eating Oreos anymore. No more Oreos for either of us, Chris. Don't feel bad.
Don't worry, Christie doesn't have room for any Oreos. He's too full from eating so much. I'm gonna level with you people. Other than McConnell and Ryan, who aren't so much passengers on the Trump train as hostages, this night had nothing to do with policy. Tuesday's theme was supposed to be Make America Work Again. Instead, it turned into Make America Hate Again. And leading the charge was Christie, Now, he's an experienced politician, you know, two-term governor of New Jersey. But instead of proposing any job-creating measures last night, he chose instead to create a kangaroo court spectacle aimed at Hillary Clinton.
Tonight, as a former federal prosecutor, I welcome the opportunity to hold Hillary Rodham Clinton accountable for her performance and her character. Since the Justice Department refuses to allow you to render a verdict, I'm going to present the case now on the facts against Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Ooh. You know you in trouble when they calling your middle name Rodham. Hillary Rodham Clinton, get your ass in here. So here's what happened. Last week, Trump snubbed Christie for vice president. So basically last night, Christie wanted to show Trump what he had passed up. He was all like, you see this, Donnie? You could have had all this.
In one of her first decisions as Secretary of State, she set up a private email server in her basement in violation of our national security. Hillary Clinton lying to the American people about her selfish, awful judgment in making our secrets vulnerable. What's your verdict? Guilty or not guilty? So, as to Hillary Clinton, the charge of putting herself ahead of America, guilty or not guilty? Hillary.
Yeah! Lock her up! Lock her up! By the way, what prison is this? I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. That's how you know why people don't get locked up. Like, what? Because this is locked up. I don't know what this is. This is locked up. It's so easy to get caught up in that whole thing. Lock her up! Lock her. It's so easy to get caught up. I just don't know what's happening in those chants, you know? It's so infectious and it's so effective. I mean, why delve into discussing an issue when you can just reduce it to 3 syllables? Build a wall. Lock her up. Or if that's too complicated for you, Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump, Trump, Trump. I will give props to Christie, though, because he finally got Americans excited to do jury duty.
Let's go to North Africa. She was the chief engineer of the disastrous overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya. She said, our goal, America's goal, was to strengthen Russia. Strengthen an adversary led by a dictator who dreams of reassembling the old Soviet empire. Is Hillary Clinton guilty or not guilty?
Holy Christie got the crowd so stirred up during the night. I thought he was about to dangle Hillary in a net and be like, get her! Get her! For every new public official, someone has to leave. And last night, New Jersey elected a new governor to replace Christie. I know you cannot process your pain, and so it is coming out as screams of joy. So America now says goodbye to its favorite, least favorite governor. Like if this was Fast and the Furious, this would be the moment when Christie would be in Paul Walker's car driving away into the sunset until he hits a traffic jam that he started to make a point. So tonight, we say goodbye to Christie and remember some of his best, worst moments.
Damn, man, I'm governor. Could you just shut up for a second? Are you stupid? Until that time, she should shut up.
I have no interest in answering your questions.
Sit down and shut up. Sorry for the idiot over there. Your rear end's gonna get thrown in jail, idiot.
I have never fallen asleep during a Bruce Springsteen show. I will never fall asleep during a Bruce Springsteen show. Don't put it in Mr. Springsteen's mouth. Put it in yours.
It's serving folks like you that is really such a unique joy. It really is. You're fabulous.
See you on the beach, Governor. Today is unfortunately a sad day, because today we mourn the departure of another politician, New Jersey Governor Christie.
Chris Christie leaves office today and becomes a private citizen for the first time in 8 years, and he does so with low approval numbers. But in his final State of the State address last week, he says he leaves as a happier man than when he walked into the office 8 years ago.
I don't know how Chris Christie can be happy when he's leaving office with the lowest approval rating in New Jersey history, 18%. Being that unpopular in 2018 and not having a sexual assault allegation, that shit takes talent. But some people may not know that Chris Christie's reputation wasn't always the turd on the bottom of New Jersey's shoe. So tonight, we take a look back at Governor Christie's incredible rise and fall. When Chris Christie first took office in 2009, his straight-talk approach was a breath of fresh air. You know, something New Jersey hadn't had in decades. And throughout his first term in office, Christie became extremely popular in New Jersey, especially among key demographics. You know, like guys who go, hey, guys who go, oh. And of course, women who go, get out of here, Anthony, you ruined my daughter's sweet 16. What I'm trying to say is he got very popular.
He is a rising star in the world of politics.
It's people who raise their voices and yell and scream like you that are dividing this country. We're here to bring this country together, not to divide it.
Superstorm Sandy left much of the Garden State devastated, but it's really boosting the popularity of New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
94% approve of Governor Christie's handling of Hurricane Sandy recovery effort.
74% approval rating in the bluest of blue states.
The highest approval rating recorded for a New Jersey governor.
A landslide re-election victory. Is he now the man to beat for the Republican presidential nomination?
Wow. Chris Christie was so popular, people thought that he could one day be president. And people only say that about the top governors and first-term senators and TV stars and sports owners and relatives of presidents and Beyonce. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying the Beyonce thing. I am. But alas, despite all his success, Chris Christie had the fatal flaw of a tragic character. He was an asshole. And don't get me wrong, in New Jersey, you can be an asshole. I mean, asshole is their state bird. But Christie was an asshole about the one thing no one in Jersey is willing to tolerate: traffic.
Bridgegate. This, of course, is the political scandal surrounding the office of Governor Chris Christie over the shutdown of lanes to the George Washington Bridge. This came as apparent political payback against a mayor who would not endorse it.
I am embarrassed and humiliated by the conduct of some of the people on my team.
That seemed like an apology until it got to the end. I'm so ashamed of what these dipshits have done. The lesson we all learned from Bridgegate was you can't get back at somebody by pissing off everybody else. That's gonna backfire. It's like getting revenge on a mean flight attendant by releasing a bunch of bees in the plane. You guys are with me, right? You guys are with me. I requested vegan! So after Bridgegate, Christie's approval ratings plummeted from the 70s to the mid-40s. But that's a level that you can recover from. So Chris Christie had two choices: buckle down and work hard for the great state of New Jersey, or ditch those spray-tan jamokes and chase the White House. So the governor consulted his "what would asshole do" bracelets. He chose option 2, and it was all downhill from there.
Governor Christie is getting grilled about prioritizing the campaign trail over his snowy and flooded state.
The governor spent all or part of 261 days out of the state last year.
Right after dropping his own presidential bid, Christie endorsed Trump.
7 newspapers in New Jersey have called on Christie to resign.
Christie's approval rating stands now at only 21%.
18% now, tied for second worst in recent history.
The second worst approval rating. Poor Chris Christie. You know what his problem was? In 2012, he didn't run for president when he should have. And then in 2016, he ran when he shouldn't have run. His timing was off. And in life, timing is everything. Timing is what separates a normal person from a pedophile. And here's what makes Chris Christie a legend. having hit such a low point, a more ordinary governor would try to raise his popularity. But Christie's a special person. He decided that if he was going to be the worst, he would be the best worst.
First, there was Bridgegate, and now Beachgate. Christie's beach outing over the 4th of July holiday caused a national scandal because this particular beach was closed to the general public due to a state government shutdown.
The Garden State's first family was allowed to use the otherwise closed beach. The photos have enraged many New Jersey residents.
I don't apologize for it. I don't back away from it. And I think my poll numbers show that I don't care about political optics.
Hey, man, say what you want about Chris Christie. He went down in style. Read my lips, people. This beach is shut down. Now, if you have any questions, I'll be at the beach. And then just to rub it in, he built a special sandcastle for everyone. Which is probably why, on this last day of his term, the people of New Jersey told him how they felt.
When asked about the end of Christie's term, only 5% said they will miss the Republican governor.
Just 5% will miss him. Chris Christie, my friend, now that you're not governor, are you sure that you want to stay in a state that hates you that much? Like, if I were you, I would just leave. And here's the good news. If you get out now, you can miss all that bridge traffic. We'll be right back. As various high-profile Republicans begin to think about running for president in 2024, one of their biggest considerations is what to do about the man who thinks he won the election in 2020, Donald J. Trump. Because that's basically what Trump is going to be running on. You realize that, right? He was cheated the last time, so that means he deserves another 4 years, or maybe 30 years as president. But it turns out there is one Republican who is brave or stupid enough to stand in his way.
Political blows from Chris Christie and former President Donald Trump. It started with comments the ex-New Jersey governor made over the weekend at the Republican Jewish Coalition's conference. Christie called on Republicans to move past Trump's baseless claim that the 2020 election was stolen from him.
We can no longer talk about the past and the past elections. It is over.
And now former President Trump is slapping back. Chris Christie was just absolutely massacred by his statements that Republicans have to move on from the past, meaning the 2020 election fraud. Everybody remembers that Chris left New Jersey with a less than 9% approval rating, a record low. They didn't want to hear this from him.
Chris Christie then responded in an interview with Axios.
Look, I'm not going to get into a back and forth with Donald Trump, but what I will say is this. When I ran for re-election in 2013, I got 60% of the vote. When he ran for re-election, he lost to Joe Biden.
Something tells me you are going to get into a back and forth with Donald Trump. I like how he's like, I'm not going to get into a back and forth, but let me tell you my shit. This dude is taking a rock to a hornet's nest and being like, I don't want to get in a thing here, but yeah. And look, I do get Chris Christie's point, right? He wants the party to talk about Joe Biden's current failures, not about how China used mind control to delete Trump votes in Georgia or whatever the new story is. But telling Donald Trump to stop obsessing over the 2020 results is like telling Gollum to maybe try a necklace or a bracelet or something. It's not going to happen. Here's the thing. If Christie wants to play this smart, this is what he's got to do. He shouldn't tell Trump that he lost the election. He should agree with Trump that he won the election. Yeah, because then he can say, look, Donald, I would love to support you, but you've already served 2 terms. And then Trump's mind would be blown. He'd be like, wait, I won? Then I'm the president now. That means I'm Joe Biden. But that's a bunch of malarkey.